Hey guys, Pete Gaffney here, PGPT. I'm going to talk about nutrition today. Now, it's a topic that's very confusing for clients trying to work out calories, how do I lose weight, how do I build muscle, how do I maintain. So I thought I'd write some things down. I thought I'd talk about our philosophy here at PGPT and what we emphasize. The two things we emphasize the most is firstly working out your calorie intake. And if you want to lose weight or gain weight or maintain, there's an equation for that. So once you know your calories, that's number one. The second thing is that you're getting enough protein per day. Now, unfortunately, if you're not a client, this can be difficult because we need to work out things, for example, like body fat, which we need to take with calipers to work out lean muscle. If you don't have access to that, there are other options. So I'm going to go through a little presentation now with some other options for you to work out your macronutrients. Now, macronutrients or macros, actual major food groups. So your carbohydrates, your fats, your proteins, alcohol, fiber. And I'll break everything down, try and make it as simple as possible, and hopefully you can follow along. So the first rule, the way we get started is something called BMR, which stands for basal metabolic rate. Now, this is the rate this is the amount of energy that you need at rest. So I'm going to use myself as an example. So my age is 34. My weight at the moment is 81 kilos. And not that it's relevant for today because we're not doing calipers, but at the moment, I'm about 15% body fat. Now, I want to lose weight. I want to lose the belly, I want to have a flat stomach. So if that's the case, I would need to shift about 5% body fat, so to drop down to 10%, and my weight would drop down to about 78 kilos, only 3 kilo change. What we need to do is work out the BMR. So as I said before, we don't have access, if you want to do this at home, you don't have access to the calipers, skin fold. So an easy equation for a male, it's your weight in kilos. So for me, if we take me, it's 81 multiplied by 24. That gives me a figure, I've got some notes down here, that gives me a figure of 1944. If you're a female, you use your weight in kilograms multiplied by 22. Now, 1944 is the amount of calories that I would need to have at rest. I'm not at rest, I'm active, I'm a personal trainer, I exercise a lot. So we then need to use a sliding scale for energy expenditure. And that ranges from 1.2 to 1.9. 1.2 would be sedentary, never exercised before, do nothing, don't walk to the tube, you drive everywhere. 1.9 is you've got a very active job like a scaffolder, construction worker, you're exercising 5 days a week, you're constantly on the go, you don't sit down. Now, I always like to be conservative with my clients. I always like to underestimate rather than overestimate. So for me, I'm going to use a multiple, if we use this 1944 figure, of 1.4. So sort of somewhere in the middle. Now that comes out to roughly 2,700, I think it was 20 calories. Now, a realistic weight loss goal for a lot of clients would be to shift a pound of fat a week. That's attainable. There's an easy equation for that. 1 pound of fat equals 3,500 calories. So if we work off the premise of that equation, 3,500 calories, there's 7 days in a week. So let's divide that by 7. We have 500 calories a day that you would need to create a deficit. So this figure of 2,720, let's round down, let's call it 2,700, would be Pete Gaffney staying at his current weight of 81 kilos. I don't want to stay at my current weight of 81 kilos, I want to lose weight. So I would need to go under by this 500 calorie mark, which now puts me at 2,200 calories. Eating 2,200 calories a day, every day, I should shift a pound of weight. Now we've got these macronutrients to work out. So let's break it down. So we've got at the head protein, so P 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrates also equals 4 calories. Fats is over double that. 1 gram of fats equals 9, and 1 gram or 1 ml of alcohol equals 7. So we're going to work back now. We've got the 2,200, that's the magic number, that's the figure that I can never go over. I should always stay under every day. If I exercise, if I do more than expected, then that's a bonus and I'm creating more of a deficit. But the rule number 1 is, at PGPT, never go over that figure. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is making sure you have enough protein in your diet. Now, we generally like to use a scale of, we use lean muscle mass, but we don't have access to this at the moment. So what we're going to do is use a scale of between 1.5 grams to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So if we use me, we're going to go with 2, we're going to say 80, so the protein I need, so 80 times 2, I need 160 grams of protein a day. Multiply that by this figure of 4, and that gives me a figure of 640 calories. Great. Now, some people are more sensitive to carbohydrates, some people are more sensitive to fats. I happen to be more sensitive to carbohydrates. I know this for numerous reasons. One, when I eat a lot of carbs, it goes straight to my stomach. As soon as I go off carbs, my stomach leans out. I also know this because I've done a DNA test and I've got 0 sensitivity to fats, but sensitivity to carbohydrates. So we're going to use fats as the next goal. Now fats, depending on whether you're sensitive or not, there's a range again. So I would suggest 1 gram to 1.5 grams per kilos of body weight. Now because I have 0 sensitivity to fats, as proven by my DNA and just knowing my body, I'm going to use the equation of 1.5. So if we use an equation of 1.5 times my body weight, we'll make it easy. So 80 times 1.5 equals, where are we? 120 grams. We multiply 120 grams now by 9. 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. And that gives me a figure of around 1,000. Okay, so now I have my fats. I need to eat 1,000 calories from fats or 120 grams. I need to be eating 160 grams of protein or 640. The rest is going to be made up of carbohydrates. So we've got 2,200 minus 640 minus 1,000, and that gives us carbs at 560. You divide that by 4, and so is it 560? Yeah, you divide by 4, and it comes in at 130 grams, or something along those. I'm doing this off the top of my head. So now we've got all our macronutrients. I will not gain any weight if I stay under that 2-2. My next goal is to keep lean muscle mass up, to keep my metabolism working fast. I need to hit this number, 160 grams of protein. Now, what's 160 grams of protein look like? What's 120 grams of fat look like? What's 130 grams of carbs look like? I'll make another video for that, so stay tuned. This video is just working out all your macronutrients. And that is now setting me up for the path. So they're my 2 rules. Every day I need to hit 160 grams, which is really hard work. That's why we often suggest supplements. I need to keep my carbs down. I need to eat more fat. So I've got 1,000 calories from good fats. Yes, I can have some saturated fats, i.e. the yolk in an egg, red meat, but I'm getting the majority of my fats through avocados, olive oil, nuts, oily fish, coconut oil. Carbohydrates, I will have basmati rice, I'll have sweet potato, I'll have oats, but that's staying down. So that's lesson number 1. I hope that makes sense. Nikki, Have I missed anything? I don't think so. Okay, that's lesson number 1. Just to recap, start off with your BMR, basal metabolic rate. For a man, it's your weight in kilograms times by 24. Woman, kilograms times 22. If we use me as an example, I'm 81 kilos, that brings me to 1944. The next is working out your energy expenditure. This ranges from 1.2 to 1.9. 1.9 is extremely active, Premier League footballer. 1.2 is someone that's never done anything before. I'm always conservative with this one, so I went 1.4. I probably could have gone 1.6. That brings out my daily calorie level at 2,720. I don't want to eat 2,720 because I want to get to this weight of 78 kilos. So I'm going to go under by 500. Remembering this equation, 1 pound of fat equals 3,500. That takes me to 2,2. We then need to break down our macronutrients. Here's what each macro equals. So we start with the most important, protein. Protein goes from 1.5 to 2. Because I do a lot of strength training, I'm active, I'll use the higher variable of 2. So 80 kilos or 81, I've rounded it up and down here, is 160. 160 times 4 calories gives me 640 calories. That's my second rule. So rule 1 is here, rule 2 is here. The rest, I don't really mind how you make up your fats and carbs. I just happen to know that I've got more of a sensitivity to carbs and fats. If you're not sure, a good example or a good test for you to try would be try eating high fats for lunch 3 days in a row with some protein, and then try having high carbs 3 days in a row with some protein, and see which one makes you feel fuller for longer, less cravings. For example, you may have a chicken breast for lunch with basmati rice, followed by some fruit one day, and then you may have a chicken breast for lunch, or you may have, say, smoked salmon for lunch with an avocado and some olive oil on it for the next 3 days. And then just write in a diary, Ben Kuma taught me this, write in a diary to see how you feel, which one makes you feel fuller for longer. So that's the figure I'm on. That's how many calories I'm having in protein. I'm going to go the higher multiple here for fats, which is 1.5. So 80 times 1.5 multiplied by 9 gives me 1,000 calories. The rest, the leftover, is carbs, 130 grams. This is lesson 1, and I'll talk to you soon.